The Code Enforcement Board for the City of Tarpon Springs is called to order. First order of business, Bobby will call the roll for us, please.
Ms. Wade?
Present.
Mr. Presidio is absent and excused. Mr. Weeks?
Here.
Mrs. Telliar?
Here.
Mrs. Archer is not here. Mr. Olson?
Here.
Dr. Matea?
Here.
Ms. Eisner?
Here.
Mr. Ogle?
I want to
Please, roll
remind,
call.
thank you. Want to remind everyone to please turn your phones off. And I would like to introduce, we have a new board attorney. His name is Andrew Salzman. He's right here. We have a new board member, Steve Ogle. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. And we have a new code enforcement head, and that's Cindy Stoner, and she'll be joining us today. We have a few new procedures, and so bear with us, everyone, as we stumble through it a little bit. If you'll please stand, we'll say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if you'll bow your heads for a moment. Our Father in heaven, give us power to clearly discern right from wrong. Allow our words and actions to be governed thereby and by the laws of this land. We ask for your inspiration to strive in our endeavors to serve the public. We also ask that you direct us so that above all things we will discharge our duties for the benefit of the people we serve. Amen.
Amen.
It is the intention of this board to promote, protect, and improve the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Tarpon Springs by providing an equitable, effective, and inexpensive method of enforcing various codes within the city of Tarpon Springs. Any aggrieved party may appeal a final administrative order of this board to the circuit court. Such appeal shall be filed within 30 days of the execution of the order to be appealed. Florida Statute 286.0105 requires any party appealing a decision of this board to have a record of the proceedings to support such an appeal. We do have some people here testifying, so the procedure of the board is as follows. First, the city presents its witnesses and exhibits, after which the alleged violator is able to ask the city's witnesses any questions regarding their testimony. Secondly, the alleged violator is allowed to make a presentation and present his or her witnesses and exhibits. Then the city can question the alleged violator's witnesses. After both rounds of testimony on the part of the city and on the part of the alleged violator, each party is asked to give a closing argument, first by the city and then by the alleged violator. After those three steps are taken, this board will close the public hearing portion of the case to discuss it and take appropriate action. Before we begin the public hearings, we'll have any potential witnesses stand up and be sworn in by the secretary of the board. Somebody else came in. Please remember to turn your phone off. So if you're going to testify, please stand, and Bobby will swear you in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You can be seated.
Thank you. All right. Our first item of business will be item 2 in your new binders. It's case number 22/800000384, Thomas Knapp, 711 Pent Street in Tarpon. The city will start, and then you can ask them questions, then you'll get a point. Cindy's going to begin. Everybody who has our new binders, look for tab 2, and that will be the case that we're reflecting upon.
Ms. Wade, both your alternates today will be voting also. I just wanted it as a reminder.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Both of.
Alternates are going to be voting today.
And just for the correct minutes and everything. Both alternates will be voting today. Thank you.
This is a homesteaded property. On December 1st, 2022, I inspected the property located at 711 Penn Street due to citizen complaint. Upon arrival to the property, there was a boat parked in the right-of-way with flat tires on the trailer, tree vegetation growing out of it, and an expired tag. There was also another red sedan parked in the right-of-way with an expired tag. The driveway area had several piles of totes, junk, trash, tires, and other items, and parts of the property were overgrown with grass, weeds, and other vegetation in excess of 12 inches in height. The property was posted with a notice of violation with a compliance date of December 16th, 2022, a copy mailed to the property owner via certified mail, and posted at Tarpon Springs City Hall. A reinspection was completed on December 16th, 2022, and found that no efforts had been taken to bring the property into compliance. Another reinspection on December 20th, 2022 was completed and found that the tag on the red sedan was actually not expired until 2023. There was now no tag on the boat trailer, the tires were still flat, and it had not been moved or cleaned. Also, more items were in the driveway of junk, trash, and debris, along with a washing machine on its side. The backyard also had junk, trash, and debris piles that could be seen from the roadway. Due to noncompliance, the property was referred to the Code Enforcement Board. On December 29th, 2022, the notice of violation that was sent via certified mail was returned to the division as unclaimed. Several further inspections were also completed on December 30th, 2022 and January 5th, 2023, and found the property was not in compliance and no contact had been made from the property owner. It should also be noted that there are 6 prior cases on this property for the same violations. Compliance can only be achieved by mowing and maintaining all grass, weeds, and vegetation below 12 inches in height at all times, properly removing all junk, trash, and debris from the property, or storing it in a fully enclosed structure, having all vehicles, including recreational vehicles, be operable, have full tires and current tag, valid tag and registration, and parking the boat in the proper designated area. A hearing notice was posted on the property on December 30th, 2022, a copy mailed to the property owner via certified mail, and posted at Tarpon Springs City Hall. The division recommends giving the respondent until January 26, 2023 to achieve compliance. If compliance is not achieved, staff recommends the Code Enforcement Board impose a fine of $75 per day beginning on January 27, 2023, until the property is brought into compliance. Exhibit 2 is next with the photographs.
And do we need to now, we used to pass them down and ask if we could enter them in the record. How do we do that in the situation?
At the end of the city's presentation, they should move everything that they've presented into the record.
Okay. And we need to
You
accept that.
and then that'll be part of the record for your evidence.
Would you like to have these admitted into the record?
Yes, please.
Bobby will do so, please.
Yes, ma'am.
The first photograph shows where the boat is parked in the right-of-way. It has trees growing over it. The tires are also flat, and there is no tag. There's also photographs of the totes and the outdoor storage junk trash debris in the driveway area. Partial overgrowth next to the fence line in the front yard. There are also pictures from a reinspection on 12/20 where it shows the boat still has not been moved, the tire is still flat. And there's also now a washing machine in the front driveway. There's also photographs on 12/20 that show the backyard area and the side area that can be seen from the roadway that has a bunch of garbage piled up there. And then the last photographs are from this morning, which again show the boat has not been moved, the tires are flat, there's no tag on it. The items are still against the fence in the backyard and the side yard. The washing machine remains in the driveway as well as the other items. Exhibit 3 is going to be the notice of violation that was posted on the property and mailed from December 1st. After the notice of violation is the resident letter that was created for residents that have recreational vehicles. It gives the actual city ordinance of where they are allowed to park them and cannot park them. That was also sent with the notice of violation. The certified mail receipt for the notice of violation, and also the returned mail from the notice of violation. There's the affidavit of posting for the notice of violation. And then the notice of hearing from December 30th. The certified mail receipt goes along with that, as well as the affidavit of posting. There is the property appraisers that has Mr. Thomas Hanath as the property owner, as well as the Pinellas County Tax Collector has the same owner as well. And then I have all of the originals. I'm gonna take a look at those and I'll pass them back.
That completes your presentation. Mr. Nath, at this time, you just get to ask her questions, and then following that, you'll get to make your presentation.
Oh, it's-
Do you have any questions
well,
on what
just-
she
I was
has
wondering-
presented us?
Well, I didn't know anything about any of this till I got the, from the post office on my door, very recent. And then I went and picked it up the next morning, so then it said to come here on the 12th, so, I mean, why can't somebody just come and knock on my door and tell me all about this? And then since I've owned the house, I've never had any complaints from anybody, where she said there was like 11 before. I mean,
This
I don't
is the time
dispute-
for
I
you
don't-
to, I'm sorry to
well, I don't
interrupt.
dispute that
This
there's-
is just the time for question,
Yeah.
and then you can make your case.
Well, I don't dispute that there's some problems around the house, and yeah, I'll get it cleaned up, but I had no idea, so I'll take care of it, but I do have somebody that's supposed to pick the boat up on the 16th of February.
Okay, this is
Oh.
just questions.
Oh, then I have no questions.
Okay.
I understand everything she's saying. There's the-
Okay, now you can make your case. So start
Oh.
again with that part.
So, I don't really have a case, I'm just, the washer or the dryer, I will take care of, that's no problem. And I know that there's a few things in the driveway that need to be cleaned up. The boat, of course, I have to attend with. The tires are good, I'll get some air in them. If you guys make me move the boat before the person that's supposed to pick it up picks it up, I'll have to. So, other than that, just give me a little time. I don't dispute anything, except for the fact that I've never had any problems or anything like this come up while I've owned the house. And I don't know how come it's gone this far without me knowing about any of it, but, I mean, I've let it go, so it's my fault. That's pretty much all.
Thank you. Would
Well,
you
we
like-
did have the tree cut, mostly, above the boat. That's been done, and there's more things to be done. I'm now a single parent. My wife passed of cancer. It's a 4-year stint of cancer, and and my daughter's got mental issues as far as disability, and so it's been a little difficult. Money's been stretching, been tight, so I've had to make do, but we're getting by, so I will take care of all this stuff. I am helping out, and I don't know, you might be aware of this, but I'm helping out a homeless veteran, and he's battling,
Let's try to keep it related to the
okay.
case. Thank you.
He tends to mess things up a little bit too, so I'm not really getting any help from him, so I will go ahead and take care of this, is basically what I'm saying, so.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Dow?
Mr. Nath, you don't live on the property?
Oh, yeah, I do, absolutely. Yeah, my daughter and I, yeah.
So you're agreeing to have everything cleaned up by January 26th?
I can have the yard and stuff. Can I get to like the middle of February for the boat, or do you need that done by then too?
Well, the boat could be moved on your property to a location that's approved by the city. And
I
that's-
guess what I could do is I could put the air in the tires and I could move, I could get the driveway cleaned up, back it up in the driveway till the guy comes to pick it up. Can it go in the driveway?
It can, but it has to have a valid tag as well.
Because I'm not gonna tag it. I'm getting rid of it. So,
So moving it wouldn't,
Moving it wouldn't make a difference.
no, it would still have to have a tag
I
on
think
it.
his answer was no, he couldn't get it done by then. Would the city like to summarize?
I have no objection to him getting an extension if the board sees fit.
Alrighty.
Can
I
I pose a
appreciate that.
question to the code inspector at this time?
I'm sorry?
May I pose a question to the code inspector at
Absolutely.
this time?
Absolutely.
I'm looking at your photograph here of 12/20/22, showing it what appears to be a washing machine and dryer.
Okay.
Have the doors been removed from those appliances?
They have not.
So the doors have not been removed, and therefore they constitute a attractive nuisance to children who may get trapped inside. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
okay. I can secure that until I get rid of it. That,
You could just take the door off.
or take the door off? Okay. All right.
Any other, yes, sir, you may ask him a question.
I noticed that your home has...
Speak into the microphone.
It has what?
You have a mic.
Oh, he doesn't have a mic.
One, I'm sorry. I noticed that your home has a garage.
Yeah, that is now the,
You put all of this in the garage.
it's just the garage door. Before I bought the home, the garage had been changed into a formal room. So, no. Now, I could move the boat I could pull the boat to the backyard, but that's really just taking it out of sight. And I don't think that's compliant with the law, so,
That's kind of moving the same problem to a different area.
yeah. Believe me, that boat is going to be gone.
All righty. The public portion of the case is now closed. Unless the board has another question that I missed. Okay.
Question for the attorney. Can we do this in one motion, or does
I
it?
think it has to be two.
It still has to be two?
It has to be
Okay.
two motions. Would anybody like to make a first motion?
I'll make the first motion. I move, based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented and the law, at the time of the alleged violations, sections 8-52, 40.00, and 42.00 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Springs were enforced in effect, and the respondent was in violation thereof.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Vogel,
Bobby, before you do that, you said three different items, right? 852,
Yes.
40, and 42. Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Ogle,
Yes.
Mrs. Eisner,
Yes.
Dr. Matea,
Yes.
Mr. Rollinston, excuse me,
Yes.
change people's names. Mrs. Telliar,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Ms. Wade.
Yes.
Before we go any further, could I please have the evidence that's been submitted? The evidence that was coming down here?
It doesn't go that,
Yes.
I don't think we do that anymore.
Yes, we do.
We do.
Oh, there's a different copy. I didn't know that.
We could,
The
just so you
originals.
know, what we can do is just present it directly to the clerk, since there's a copy in here for the board members.
Yes, sir?
So this is just what you have in your packets
Right.
already.
Here, Bobby.
Thank you, darling.
And for reference, all of these materials were available for the alleged violator to review.
Yes, ma'am.
Now there's the second motion which follows that.
I'll make a motion. I move that the respondent shall have until February 15th to bring the property into compliance with code 8-52, 40.00, and 42.00, or suffer a fine of $75 per day, each day thereafter that the respondent remains in violation of said code sections.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Ms. Eisner seconded. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ogle?
Yes.
Mrs. Eisner?
Yes.
Dr. Matea?
Yes.
Mr. Rollinson?
Yes.
Ms. Telliar?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes. Would you like to summarize for him, please?
You have until the 15th of February to come into compliance. If you do not come in compliance by that date, you can have a $75 per day fine per day until you resolve all the outstanding issues. If you have a repeat violation, you can have up to a $500 a day fine. So you need to keep this property in compliance once you put it in, once you take care of everything. Please contact the inspector once you've resolved everything so that they can come out and re-inspect.
Okay, how do I contact you?
My phone number and name is on that form that you have there in your hand?
This?
Yes.
Okay. All right,
And you will be sent a paper copy of this ruling.
okay.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you all. Thanks.
The next case today will be under your tab 3, case number 22-800000377, S&N Enterprises, 516 Island Drive in Tarpon Springs.
This is not a homesteaded property. On November 28th, 2022, I inspected the property located at 516 Island Drive due to citizen complaint. Upon arrival to the property, it appeared to be a vacant residence, and the property was overgrown with grass, weeds, and other vegetation in excess of 12 inches in height. There was also scattered junk, trash, and debris around the property. The far southeast side of the fence was broken and falling in, and the metal awnings on the front of the residence were not secured properly. The property was posted with a notice of violation with a compliance date of December 14th, 2022, a copy mailed to the property owner via certified mail, and posted at Tarpon Springs City Hall. A reinspection was completed on December 14th, 2022, and found that other than partial mowing on the property, no efforts had been taken to bring the property into compliance, and no contact had been made from the property owner. Due to noncompliance, the property was referred to the Code Enforcement Board. Further inspections were also completed on December 30th, 2022, and January 5th, 2023, and found the property was still not in compliance, and no efforts had been taken to correct the violations. On January 5th, 2023, a phone call was received from Ed Spaeth, who advised he was the property owner. He stated he did receive the notice of violation and the notice of hearing, but did not understand why. He requested a copy of the notice of violation to be sent to him via email, which was completed, and he advised that everything should be, he was advised that this should have been a repeat violation. However, at this time, it will not be. But for any future violations, fines can be started the day of the violation is observed. Compliance can be only achieved by mowing and maintaining the property of all grass, weeds, and other vegetation below 12 inches in height at all times, and keeping it free from any junk, trash, and debris, repairing or removing the metal awnings on the residence, and with the use of a licensed contractor and proper permits, the fence is to be repaired or replaced with permits being applied for, approved, issued, and finalized. However, the fence can also be removed without a licensed contractor or permits. It should be noted that this case qualifies for a repeat violation. However, due to the property owner not being noticed of a repeat violation and only noticed for a regular violation, the division is not seeking enhanced fines at this time. However, should another case with the same violations be made, enhanced fines for repeat violation will be sought. A hearing notice was posted on the property on December 30th, 2022, a copy mailed to the property owner via certified mail, and posted at Tarpon Springs City Hall. The division recommends giving the respondent until January 26, 2023 to achieve compliance. If compliance is not achieved, the division recommends the Code Enforcement Board impose a fine of $75 per day, beginning on January 27, 2023, until the property is brought into compliance. Exhibit 2 would be the photographs that were taken on 11/28 showing the overgrowth of the property. The front of the residence, the awnings are broken and falling.
Are we able to look at these before we have had permission to accept them? In the
Yes.
past, we had to
Yes,
ask for
because
permission.
that's the testimony that is showing you what the evidence is, and then you accept it after the conclusion of all the evidence.
Okay. So I'm sorry, it's just
You're okay.
working out the, I didn't know we could look at them before somebody said we could,
That's
so.
okay. There's also a photograph of a wheelbarrow that's in the front yard broken. The reinspection on 12/14 shows that there's been no efforts to bring the property into compliance. Photographs again from 12/30 that show the same. Property is still not in compliance. Exhibit 3 will be the notice of violation that was dated 11/28/2022, along with the certified mail receipt, a USPS tracking that shows that it was delivered, as well as the affidavit of posting. Also, the notice of hearing, the certified mail receipt for the notice of hearing, and the affidavit of posting. Exhibit 4 is going to be the property appraisers that show that S&N Tarpon Enterprises, Inc. is the property owner, along with the Pinellas County Tax Collector has the same name, and the detail by entity name on Sunviz shows that it is an active corporation. I went back out there this morning. There were 2 gentlemen that were removing a fridge from the backyard, so the property was still not in compliance. I actually went back again right prior to this hearing, and it is compliant now. The fence is down, the awnings are down, and the entire property is cleaned and mowed. So they are in compliance at this time.
Can you determine if the property is occupied or abandoned?
It's vacant, it's for sale.
So that no one that we know of is living in there?
No, sir, not right now.
And it's in this part of the agenda and not in the now in compliance because that just happened this morning?
Yes, ma'am.
So it should be treated as,
There would be no fines assessed because it is in compliance. It would just be on the record if you find that the violations did exist.
That would be to establish for
Establish it.
purposes of repeat violation.
Yes, and as stated in the staff report, this should have been a repeat violation. That was an error on my part. So we were not seeking the repeat violator fines at this time.
Question, does the real estate company have any responsibility to inform the owner of the property that they're not in compliance?
Ultimately, it's the property owner's responsibility. So if any fines were to be given, it goes to the property owner, not the real estate company. So the real estate company is not the property that would be, not the entity that would be responsible for that.
I'm so sorry, are you here for this property?
I'm the property owner.
I did not understand that.
No, that's
Thank you.
fine. No problem. I was just listening to what she had to say. so.
We didn't have a name for a person, so I was just surprised there was a person. Got it. Do you have questions for the city?
Yes, I sure do. My name's Edward Spaeth. I own multiple properties adjacent to Turtle Cove Marina, which I also own. Just have a couple questions for you, Cindy. You had mentioned that, and were there any other notices that were sent on the adjacent parcels at the same time that 516 was sent out to be, there was in violation for grass or weeds along a fence line or anything like that?
At this point, we're only addressing this property.
But this is relevant to the situation.
That property is not being addressed at this meeting, only the address that we have before us. If you wish to make a complaint about another property, you're certainly free to do that.
I own the other property. And what I'm trying to state is there were 4 notices that were sent out. The 516, the 514, the 512, and I believe it's 511, the waterfront. I did not open every letter. I opened 2 of them. And the 2 stated that there were weeds, the grass needed to be mowed, along the fence line, along the fence line, it needed to be weed eated. I did that on all of the properties. So I just want to make that known because it was all done at the same time. I did not open this particular letter which stated that there was an issue with the awnings, there was some stuff in the front yard, wheelbarrows and things of that nature. I understand that, I get that. So I am the one that called you on the 5th and said, I did not see that letter, or when I went back, it was on my desk in my office, I'm traveling, I'm doing stuff. I opened it up and you sent me that. When you say that you went by this morning and I was still not in compliance, my son was actually the one that was over there taking some items that were in a shed and stuff and a refrigerator out of the backyard to the recycling place on the other side of the river. You were saying that the fence wasn't in compliance. Those metal panels that were on there that had been there, I've been in Tarpon for 22 years, those metal panels were on there when the houses owned all that property. Those metal panels in the wind came over, never thought it was a big deal. Those were taken down early this week. So I'm just trying to understand. All I want to know is, like the fence, we're saying that it's not in compliance. When you say a fence isn't in compliance, if you go down there right now, it's a chain link fence with a wood fence in front of it. I assume when you say it wasn't in compliance was because there were metal aluminum roof panels that the neighbor, the owner of that property previously put up because he didn't get along with the neighbor over there, which the 2 houses I knocked down, those have been removed and put down. The wheelbarrow in the front yard was, quote, lawn art, along with a little Epiphany dinghy that was there for many, many years that the previous individual had plants growing out of it. That has since been removed. So I'm just kind of like, I understand, listen, I own that facility over there, so trust me, I want the stuff around there to be all right. And I do have my employees and my son go over with the bush hog once a month, if not twice a month sometimes, in the summertime to mow. Now, do they get right along a PVC fence? No, the grass could grow up along that's separating my clubhouse. I understand all that. I just need to know exactly what's going on, because when we say junk in the yard, sometimes junk to some people is yard art in certain areas, and that's what that stuff was at one time, the wheelbarrows and stuff. So
You realize she's saying you are in compliance?
no, I understand that,
Okay.
but
If you want to get
what I'm saying
specifics about
is-
what she's looking for in the future, I think it would be good to contact her directly outside of the meeting. At this point, what is in front of us is to notify you that a violation has been recorded.
Sure.
That you are currently in compliance, and then you can speak with her about what you expect of the mowing conditions in the future. But at this point, what's before us is to clear up these violations for you.
Fair enough.
Okay, don't,
Yeah.
I think that answers your questions. If you have specifics about how to maintain it in the future so that it won't fall into violation, then just contact them by phone, and they'll be happy to go over that
I still
with
have
you.
a couple questions of her, please. So the awnings, when you say they weren't in compliance, there was one awning on the left side of the house. They had poles that were down to attach to keep them from going up or down. The one awning had one pole broke, so it was leaning like that if you look in the picture. The rest of the awnings were level across the front of the house. Now, I have since taken all the poles down, let all the awnings go down, and they're down. Is that not sufficient? Or what is, I just got to kind of know, because when somebody says go mow a grass or wash a car, my idea of washing a car may be totally different than somebody else. So the awnings, when they're not in compliance, I just need to know and if I need to call you after that, that's fine. I just need to know exactly what, because I don't want
I think
something to
that's
come back
out of the
about
scope
the
of what
awnings,
we're
so.
doing at this meeting, so she'll be happy to get
Okay.
with you about that. But at this meeting, we just need to clear up the violations that are currently being cited. Those are great questions, but just not, this is not the forum for those.
Items do pertain to that property. So that's why I'm asking the questions of her is all. That's, I understand. I'll give her a call and discuss it outside of this, but some of the stuff that was in here had been completed, and it's in compliance, it's in compliance.
I
That's
know,
fine.
but when you see the pictures where it's pretty obvious that some things needed to get fixed, and that has been done, and that's what we're here for.
Fair enough.
Anybody else have questions? Would anybody like to this should be a motion for repeat violation.
Madam Chair, may I
compliance.
submit the originals into evidence, please?
It's not for repeat violation.
I thought you said it was when
No,
you
no.
spoke.
It's a motion
To
that,
establish.
to establish that a
Just
violation
to
had occurred.
establish, okay?
I move based on testimony, evidence, and facts presented at the law at the time of the alleged violation, sections
8 dash,
Gotta go back to that very front page. In
I'm sorry,
number 3.
8-52 and 9-1, and IMPC section 302.7, 304.9 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Spring was in full in effect. At the time of the notice of violation, the resident was in
Responded.
violation, responded, was in violation of this code and section. However, now it's in compliance.
Anybody like to make a second?
second,
Roll call, please.
Mr. Ogle?
Yes.
Mrs. Eisner? Yes. Dr. Matea?
Yes.
Mr. Rollison?
Yes.
Mrs. Telliar?
yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes.
That completes your roll call.
Would you like to summarize for him?
Yes, we had a previous violation that you have taken care of, so there is no fine, no date to come in compliance. You just need to maintain yourself in compliance, because
you.
should there be a repeat, that's $500 a day from the date of notice that a violation has occurred. Please contact the inspector so you can get your answers to your questions, so we'll take care of
All I
that.
need. Cindy, I look forward to talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good day.
Thank you for coming. Item number 4, look on your number 4 tab. Adroit Home Solutions, case number 22-800000407, Adroit Home Solutions. And ma'am, could we have your name just so we know what to call you?
Of course, Christy Harrison.
Christine?
Yes.
And your relationship to this property?
I'm one of the owners of Adroit Home Solutions.
Thank you.
I'm
This-
sorry, what was her last name? I apologize.
Harrison?
Thank you, ma'am.
Yep.
And
She'll make a case, you could ask questions, then you make a case and ask questions. Go ahead, please, Cindy.
This is not a homesteaded property. On December 5th, 2022, I inspected the property located at 613 South Stafford Avenue due to a self-initiated inspection. Upon arrival, this vacant residential property is severely overgrown with grass, weeds, and other vegetation in excess of 12 inches in height, all the way to the roadway, and has scattered junk, trash, and debris on the ground. Due to the property not being over 10,000 square feet in area, it does not meet the requirements of the 8-53 exceptions for property maintenance. Therefore, the entire property is to be mowed and maintained of all grass, weeds, and undergrowth, or similar plant material below 12 inches in height at all time, up to the drivable portion of the roadway. The property was posted with a notice of violation with a compliance date of December 21st, 2022, a copy mailed to the property owner via certified mail, and posted at Tarpon Springs City Hall. A reinspection was completed on December 20th, 22, and December 27th, 2022, and found that no efforts had been taken to bring the property into compliance. Due to noncompliance, the property was referred to the Code Enforcement Board. Further inspections were also completed on December 30th, 2022, and January 5th, 2023, excuse me, both of which the property was not in compliance. No efforts had been taken to correct the violations, and no contact has been made from the property owners. Compliance can only be achieved by mowing all grass, weeds, undergrowth, and vegetation below 12 inches in height at all times on the entire vacant property to the drivable portion of the roadway, and properly removing all junk, trash, and debris. A hearing notice was posted on the property on December 30th, 2022, a copy mailed to the property owner via certified mail, and posted at Tarpon Springs City Hall. The division recommends giving the respondent until January 26, 2023, to achieve compliance. If compliance is not achieved, staff recommends the Code Enforcement Board impose a fine of $50 per day beginning on January 27, 2023, until the property is brought into compliance. Exhibit 2 is going to be photographs that were taken on 12/5, as well as 12/6, and 1220 that show the overgrowth of the vacant parcel as well as the junk trash and debris that's scattered on the ground. There's also photographs from 1230 as well. The notice of violation is Exhibit 3, along with the certified mail receipt. United States Postal Service tracking shows that it was delivered, and the affidavit of posting. The notice of hearing dated December 30th, 2022, certified mail receipt for that, and the affidavit of posting. And Exhibit 4 would be the Pinellas County Property Appraiser showing that Android Home Solutions LLC is the property owner, as well as the Pinellas County Tax Collector. And Sunbiz, the detail by entity name that shows that Android Home Solutions LLC is in fact an active company. Included 8-53, the exceptions for mowing vacant residential properties, and it does state that if it's under 10,000 square feet and it's not developed, then it does not meet that exception. At the very end of the packet are going to be photographs that were taken today. I drove by today, and the property has been completely leveled and mowed. All junk trash debris is gone, and it looks fantastic.
Would you repeat that last? You drove by today and it has been mowed?
It's completely mowed, all the junk trash debris is gone, and it looks fantastic.
That's what we want to hear, thank
Yes.
you.
And then if we could submit the original evidence as well, please.
Bobby, will you accept these into the record, please? Did we get them passed out?
Where is it?
Mr. Salzman said just to take it to Bobby.
Oh, okay. So we don't even need to pass them down, you already presented them to her? Got it,
Correct.
thank you.
Cindy,
Ma'am,
I missed, if this was the original violation, not any others that were on this property? Is this the first violation for this property?
yes, it is, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And they just took ownership in February, it looks like.
It's the same owner, they just did a quick claim deed from the owner name to an actual LLC.
Do you have any questions for her?
No, she answered the question on the date when she said she went back out today, because she had the 5th, and I was like, we did it on the 2nd, so no questions there. I think my other questions I have kind of pertain more to the 2 things that have not been done, so I don't know if you want me to ask them after explanation, or if you want me to just ask them now before the explanation.
Go ahead.
Okay, so there is a tree, like, we cleaned up everything we could. We've hired a local landscaper. They're gonna go bi-weekly. There's a tree she could not handle. We do have an arborist that is working on this because permits are in right now, waiting on a landscaping engineer. So the tree is down, and then we have some building material in the back, and I just want to make sure that those are acceptable. The tree is not like out into the sidewalk or anything, it just happens to be back on the thing, but it's a larger tree that she just could not handle by herself. And like I said, the construction debris pallets, I brought that, it's sand and 2 piles of block.
If they're gonna be actively used on that property, then
Yes.
they can stay there, but they can't be stored there for use on a different property.
No, we're just waiting for a permit to clear out for lands. Everything else is finalized except the landscape engineer.
Then that's fine.
Does the board have any questions for either of them?
I'm hard of hearing. Did I hear you say that the property looked great and terrific?
It did.
This morning, she checked it again. So it's no longer,
No, I understand. I'm just verifying that the property now looks great and is terrific, so will you classify it as in compliance?
Yes, it is in compliance, yes.
Okay, thank you.
other questions?
So you want to establish again a violation?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to?
Property is in compliance, but we want to put a violation on it?
We want, it's to establish it for any kind of future violation that could happen for the purposes of a repeat violation. The sole purpose of establishing something that hasn't come into compliance until right before your hearing is to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So that's what that tool is used for. There is no fine, and nothing has to be paid out by by the violator.
Do we have to make any kind of a motion?
You would
Yes,
make
sir.
the same motion as you made in the previous case that we just did.
Would anybody, would you like to make that motion?
I move based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented in the law that at the time of the alleged violation, sections 8-52 for the property located at 613 South Safford Avenue, and that these codes were in effect. At the time of the notice of violation, the respondent was in violation of code, but is now in compliance.
I second.
Bobby, roll call, please.
Strobel,
Yes.
Ms. Eisner,
Yes.
Dr. Matea,
Yes.
Mr. Rollinson,
Yes.
Mrs. Telliar,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Ms. Wade.
Yes. They will
Making sure roll
mail
call.
you what we have found today, and thank you for cleaning up your yard.
Thank
And if you have any other questions about how to maintain it, just talk with them. They'll help you work through it.
I appreciate
Thank you
it.
for
Thank you.
coming. Thank you for cleaning it up. Item number 5, case number 22-800000422, Lake Park Tarpon Church of Christ on US Highway 19. Is anyone here for that case? Go ahead and present, please.
This is not a homesteaded property. On December 13th, 2022, I inspected the property located at 40839 US Highway 19 North due to an ongoing prior investigation. Upon arrival, this commercial property has 3 large shipping containers at the east side of the gravel parking area. To have this type of storage unit on a property, a permit must be applied for, approved, issued, and finalized if it is permitted. The original complaint was made and a case was created on April 19th, 2022, regarding the storage containers on the property. A courtesy letter notice was given to the property owner on April 19th, 2022, with a compliance date of May 6, 2022. Upon further inspection, the violations continued, and a notice of violation was issued to the property owner on May 13th, 2022, with a compliance date of May 30th, 2022. Several re-inspections were completed, and the shipping containers remained on the property. On September 20th, 2022, Officer Boone spoke with the church pastor regarding the need to have the containers removed. During this conversation, the pastor advised that the shipping containers belonged to Whiskey Wings, who the church allowed to have them stored on the property. Another extension for compliance was given until October 24th, 2022 to have the containers removed. Due to the change in code enforcement inspectors and the time lapse between the first case and any additional actions, the first case was closed and a new case was opened. The property was posted with a new notice of violation on December 12th, 2022, with a compliance date of December 27th, 2022, a copy mailed to the property owner via certified mail, and posted at Tarpon Springs City Hall. A re-inspection was completed on December 27th, 2022, and found that no efforts had been taken to bring the property into compliance, and no contact had been made from the property owner. Due to noncompliance, the property was referred to the Code Enforcement Board. Further inspections were also completed on December 30th and January 5th, 2023, and found 2 of the containers had been removed, leaving only 1. Compliance can only be achieved by applying for proper permits and having them approved, issued, and finalized. However, if the permits are not approved to have the shipping containers on the property, they are to be removed. A hearing notice was posted on the property on December 30th, 2022, a copy mailed to the property owner via certified mail, and posted at Tarpon Springs City Hall. The division recommends giving the respondent until January 26, 2023 to achieve compliance. If compliance is not achieved, staff recommends the Code Enforcement Board impose a fine of $25 per day, beginning on January 27, 2023, until the property is brought into compliance. Exhibit 2 is going to be the 3 shipping containers that were on the property. With the last one taken on 12/30/2022, which shows that there was only 1 shipping container left. Exhibit 3 is going to be the notice of violation, along with the certified mail receipt, the United States Postal Service tracking that shows that it was attempted to be delivered, as well as the affidavit of posting, the notice of hearing dated December 30th, 2022, the certified mail receipt for that, as well as the affidavit of posting. And Exhibit 4 is going to be the Pinellas County Property Appraiser showing that Lake Tarpon Church of Christ, Inc. is the property owner, as well as the Pinellas County Tax Collector has the same name. I did actually go out there yesterday, and the last shipping container has been removed. So as of yesterday, they are now in compliance. Due to the ongoing case and prior cases for the same violations, we do want to go ahead and establish an order today as well.
Questions for her? Would anyone like to make a motion, please?
And Madam Chair, could we put the original documents into evidence, please?
The original documents into evidence.
The original documents,
Putting in.
Sergeant Miller has them.
Okay, we're gonna allow the documents to be entered into the record. Sorry.
We'll get this right, yeah.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Okay, thank you.
It's like we've never done it before.
Confusing.
I'll make a motion.
I'll repeat my request if anybody would like to make a
Yeah,
motion.
I
Thank you.
move based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented in the law that at the time of the alleged violation, section 6(1), 36.00, and FBC 105.1 of the code ordinances of the city of Tarpon Springs were in full force and effect, and at the time of the violation, the respondent was in violation of said codes. However, they are now in compliance.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Ogle?
Yes.
Mrs. Eisner?
Yes.
Dr. Matea?
Yes.
Mr. Rollinston?
Yes.
Mrs. Telliar?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes. We're moving to another section, affidavits of noncompliance and second orders. Case tab number 6, case number 19-8000222. Michael Mena is the trust at 424 East Pine Street. And we have someone here for that case, and I saw you get sworn in already. Yes. She'll make her case. You got it. Go ahead, please, Cindy.
We would like to put in Exhibit number 1, which would be the affidavit of noncompliance. Exhibit number 2 is going to be your first order that found the violations and ordered the compliance date of September 23rd, 2022. And Exhibit 3 are going to be photographs that were taken on 12/30 that show that the wall and the roofs are still in disrepair.
Do you have that
Exhibit 4 is going to be the notice of hearing, as well as the certified mail receipt and affidavit of posting. And I did check again this morning, and no permits had been applied for any of the repairs to be made.
You said there have not been?
No, sir, they have not. They're still not in compliance.
Thank you.
And then submitting the original documents, please.
And Bobby's going to mark those into evidence. Thank you.
I
Thank
seem
you.
to remember this from last year. Do we still have the photos?
I do not have the photos with me of this from the previous case.
I mean, they just look familiar.
Do you have questions for her?
No, ma'am.
Would you like to make a case,
Yes,
please?
I
Go
would.
ahead.
Actually, I kind of feel like the disappointment of Tarpon Springs, I'm the only one not in compliance by this morning, so I kind of feel like out of place here. But, so what's happening, give her like a brief synopsis. I have a rough timeline of emails with the roofing company that we contracted last year on February 22nd. they have been dragging their feet, and I have been on them weekly, if not bi-weekly. At first it was, hey, let's just get drawings done, because what is that it's not simple changing the metal on the roof. Now the trusses have to be changed out as well, because there's termite damage, and it just goes on and on. So we had to get a survey done that takes a month and a half, 2 months, whatever it was, and then they just were dragging their feet. Plans got lost, signed plans got lost back and forth, and then just to cut to the chase, December 29th of this of 22, they actually said that due to complications, we are unable to complete this project, and we are going to refund your money and so on and so forth. So when I got that, I got my attorney, Michael Kuskudis, and to say, hey, listen, what can we do? I don't want my deposit back. I want them to move forward. I need to get this done. And they're just, he's saying, well, and then the next couple of days or the next day, then I got these letters to come to this hearing. So it's not completed for a lack of trying. It's completed because of who I contracted last year, February 11th, 22, just were not doing their job apparently. And like I said, this is just a rough time. If you guys would like this, I printed it out for you.
Is this something you wish to have submitted into evidence?
Sure, why not?
You will not get this back.
That's fine. I printed it to give to you.
Be helpful if we actually saw the timeline, I think.
Absolutely. And like I said, this is rough. I only got like the pertinent ones where she responded. There's been weeks that they wouldn't even respond. And of course, I stopped calling them. Thank you, Sergeant. I stopped calling them because I do want a timeline showing, hey, I'm making an effort to get this done. And then in the one email to my attorney, I was like, listen, I do want them because they have everything on their side. If it's faster to light a fire under their butt, which I did have them call them, then let's move it. But if it's faster to get someone else, then let's get someone else. They were the one company that did not quote unquote price gouge us during the right after the COVID. Like during the 21 year, there were a lot of high priced, or I should say overpriced quotes that we had. I don't have any records of those, but they were just like way out of line. These people were appropriately priced, which is why we went with them. And there's no way that this project should take this long. And so I think that's really about it. So that's where I stand as far as, if we get our deposit back and then get someone else or not.
What are you trying to do with it? Besides, you're going to bring it into compliance, but what is this building?
It's an open bay for auto repair facility.
Thank you. Anybody else have a question for him?
That was my question. Did you have something to say, Cindy?
Yes, I just wanted to remind the board that this is a second hearing, that the first order was already made with the date to be in compliance. I would recommend keeping that date because it was substantial. He will be eligible for reduction in fines once he does come into compliance.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to let you know that this was an actual second hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So, sir, the only reason why you kind of stuck with this company was because of price?
No, I stuck with them because of things were in motion. Things were going. So it's like, why would I?
It's been since February of last year, I guess.
Right. But there was, like I said, there was surveys being done that ate up a lot of time. Then you have to get signed drawings for the trusses because they have to be engineered. So then those have to get sent to the lumber company. Well, once I found out what lumber company they were using, because the people weren't calling me back, I called that lumber company. I was like, hey, what's happening? Like, well, we submitted things to them back and forth. So it
seems
to
me like they weren't very responsive.
They were 0%
Right.
responsible, which is why I wouldn't mind going with someone else. It's
Yes,
not,
yeah.
Right now, it's not even about price. It's about, I need to get this off my plate. You guys need to get this off your plate. I need to get this done. So I don't mind, price. I mind price, but you know what I'm saying.
I'm getting a little confused why it's an affidavit of noncompliance and second orders rather than a repeat violator, because it's the same.
It's not, because he's never come into compliance. So you had your date for compliance, he didn't come into compliance. So the second order is determined, the board determines whether or not a fine should be put in place and the amount of that fine per day. At that point, he would then have to come in compliance. Once he does, he notifies the inspector, I've come into compliance, my fine has now accrued to X, and then he can come back before the board and ask for a fine reduction.
Okay. And that's your suggestion?
Yes, ma'am, since he was already given the first date for compliance in September.
And I think, if I might be speaking for the board, that we would like to get this done.
Oh, amen, amen.
So,
What's a reasonable timeframe, Cindy?
do you have any kind of a time frame estimate? We need something.
Yeah, well, okay, so when I was speaking with the actual lumber company, by the time they get the drawings and then the actual trusses get engineered and created, they said it's between, they said between 7 and 9 weeks. Now, that was back then. I think it's a little shorter now because of there's a material shortage and you know how everything is going. So truly, without speaking, you know, I don't want to short myself, but at the same time, you know, I don't want to like drag this out. I would have to call another roofing company, and then they would have to go ahead and move forward and get the trusses engineered and so on and so forth. So time, I don't know, whatever you would allow me, I guess, is truly.
I just
thing. I don't
noticed that
know.
in this, there's a big gap between when you started in February and then September.
Correct,
So
because
did-
of surveys.
Did you do anything between there?
Yes, we got the surveys done, and then most everything was phone, was conversations on the phone. So that's when I was like, you know what, things are not moving like I want them to move. I need records, and I mean, like I said, that's rough. I didn't print everything. I just printed out the thing showing.
So give us can you get this done in 3 months?
I would imagine. I would imagine if
Okay,
you know,
let's make a motion and
Okay.
board decide what you think we should do.
I just would like to know what this building is currently in use and what it's
Yes,
used.
it's currently used. It's an auto body repair facility.
And the roof is,
Yeah, what it is, it's just trusses, and then what it is, it's just metal on top.
but it
which
looks
is-
like it's kind of falling in.
Well, it's falling in because the metal is rusty. So what it is if the trusses weren't eaten by termites, we could just take that metal off and put metal on.
Well,
And then-
yes,
but we can't do that now. So everything has to be knocked down. So that's what it's. All the trusses have to be knocked out and brought into code. Right now they're 8 feet apart. They have to be 4 feet apart, so on and so forth. So it's not just a simple situation.
Mr. Salzman, since the first order, the board ordered the compliance date in September, can the board change that compliance date since it was already ordered once?
What the board would have to do would be not to accept the affidavit of noncompliance and extend the time period through that, because there's already been the first order.
Correct.
If the board accepts the affidavit of noncompliance, then as the previous order has provided the language, that would go into effect.
Thank you.
Do you understand which form to use?
No.
So if we accept this, our original order from the previous meeting will go.
Then we start finding him right now.
So
Accept the affidavit of noncompliance.
If we accept it, then our previous order will stand and the fines will start.
And
If you're-
the fines will
if
start
you're
now.
wanting to extend
Yeah.
him and give him more time, we have to not accept this affidavit right now in front of us.
Or you have a couple options. You could say, we don't want to accept the affidavit of noncompliance at this time. You could reset it for the next meeting, put it on again, and then see what kind of status has occurred.
That makes
At
me
that
feel a
point,
little better to
if
see.
nothing
so
has
we do
occurred,
it.
Yeah,
or
I'm
if
not
you're
inclined to give
unhappy,
a lot of
then you can
time on
accept the
this.
affidavit of noncompliance at that time,
Yeah.
So we can essentially just table this for the next meeting.
if that's what you choose to do.
Can we put restrictions on that? We need to see
I have a
something
question
happen?
here.
No.
No.
Yes, sir.
Of the respondent? Can I ask him?
What's that, the
You
respondent?
can
Go
ask
ahead.
him.
I'm sorry, I don't.
Nope,
know.
go ahead.
That's all right.
We're all learning.
It's difficult to hear everything, but on your building, it is occupied, it's in use, and you've been working on this roof issue. Have you been to the city to apply for a permit? Or what is the permit process, and how long will it take to get a
He needs
permit?
plans.
Permits are not are not, it doesn't take a long time, and they actually tried doing a permit. I think I actually printed that one. Like it actually got kicked back because the plans were lost or something, and I called the people I spoke to Lisa Godwin, and she's like, well, we don't have them, and I said, can you check again? She checked again, they don't have them. I called the roofing company, they didn't have them. I'm like, listen, there's something going, and truly, I even asked, like, hey, can I courier things to Tarpon? Like, I actually got really hands-on with this because I didn't want to get this done. But no, permits, I'm sure that are like less than a week. You know, it's a smaller office, they can get it knocked out, so.
But you have
permit
to have
time
plans to get a permit.
Correct.
And you don't have them yet.
I'm not sure if it went through or not. I don't know.
But right now, you do not have any engineering drawings or?
Yes, we do. We have
Oh, you
signed
do?
engineering drawings, yes.
And those have been submitted with permit?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I may, no permits have been applied for this property at all. When plans come in to the permitting office, they create a permit number.
And they
Even if
document that it came
correct.
in.
Even if it is rejected and it needs further information, that original permit number is still there, and they contact whoever the contractor is for additional information. But at this address, no roofing permits have been applied for at all.
Well, actually, if you see that, I actually put in there's a PDF of an email that shows that it was kicked back. So it wasn't, I don't know if it was applied for and it was kicked back, but it wasn't anything, nothing was granted as far as I know.
So
But it's in there.
So where are you right now in this process? You have drawings, you have a like what?
Actually, truly, I don't even know who has the drawing. Like I said, them saying we don't want this job anymore just happened on December 29th. So I've contacted my attorney, be like, listen, do I need to get somebody? Can we like light a fire and like pressure these people to continue? Because it's not even a price thing. It's they're already in it. They're very intimate. Just knock it out. Just complete it. So where I am is to say, hey, actually here to see what's going on, and then move forward with whatever I need to do, whether it's get somebody new or if they do come back, be like, all right, we can do this.
So you haven't approached anyone new yet?
I've made some calls, but nothing solid, and no one has actually come out yet. Everybody's backed up. They said it takes a week and a half to get out there. Because
You
it's
wanna
commercial.
let the order stand?
I say we let the order stand.
Make it a motion, please.
If you're going to let the order stand, all you have to do is do a motion to accept the affidavit of noncompliance and allow for the fine to take effect.
And the fine was what, 75?
No, $250 a day times 3.
I'm sorry.
Yes, he has the next two cases for
Well,
the same as well.
they're going to take each one individually.
Correct.
No, note next two items on the agenda.
Yeah, I saw that.
Wow. Motion?
What is the prosecuting, what's the prosecuting cost related to this case so far?
Nothing.
I don't have any prosecution costs for this one because I recently took this over, so I'm not familiar with what was done before me from that inspector, so we're not going to have prosecution cases on this case.
Since March of last year.
I'm gonna make a motion, and if it dies, it dies, but just in the interest of not bringing the hammer down right away, I move that we table this till the next meeting, and we get a status update, and if there's not any kind of significant movement that we're happy with, then we let this stand and we go. But I move we table it and re-examine it 1 month from now at the next meeting.
I
And I'm-
second.
And I'm not sure how legally binding that is, but there needs to be something done that we can see.
There has to be an actual tangible.
Oh, for sure, for
That-
sure.
Well, yeah, let's put it like this. To summarize, if the board passes this motion, they're basically telling you, you better present them something, or they'll just accept the affidavit of noncompliance, which would start the fine. So they're giving you 30 days to kind of get everything in place and satisfy them as to what's going on.
We've got a year by February.
And by tangible, really tangible.
Oh,
A company with plans that have been put
But
forth.
rocking and rolling. Oh, no, and I will have that, and I really
There's a motion and a second. Bobby, roll call, please.
Mr. Ogle?
Yes.
Mrs. Eisner?
Yes.
Dr. Matea?
Yes.
Mr. Rollinson?
Yes.
Ms. Telliar?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I think you've had the summary already.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we're going to move on to the next case, which is also yours.
Okay.
This is case number 19-8000221, and this is a parcel on Pine Street. And the city will present the case. This will be tab number 7 in your book.
Yes, and Exhibit 1 will be the affidavit of noncompliance. Exhibit 2 will be the first code board order that was made on March 11th, 2022. Exhibit 3 will be the photographs that were taken on 12/30 of the wall in the building. Exhibit 4 is going to be the notice of hearing, along with the certified mail receipt and the affidavit of posting. And if we could submit the originals, please.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Those are being put into the record.
And if you would give me just one moment to check something here.
Which case number now?
We are on number 7, sir.
7?
7, yes.
This just says Pine Street, there's no number.
Correct, it's a
It's an
vacant
empty-
parcel.
It's the same parcel?
It's an adjacent parcel to the one that you just heard.
Okay.
I vaguely remember
May I-
this case,
may
but
I-
not.
May I say something? So these all three of these parcels, they're all operated as one property,
Right.
but they are 3 parcels. So it's like all in one thing. So it's like it's all one project is what I'm trying to say to you.
So this is the same
So the
issue.
photographs,
Correct. It's the
Same
same. It's
issue.
operated as the same
Different day.
property.
It's the same circle of buildings, pretty much.
So we're doing,
And will
Yes.
all of this be covered by whatever it is you're planning on doing with this property?
Correct. Correct. It's just the roof issue. It's, I think, one just spans another parcel, and then another one's on the other side of the property. So it's all roof, but it's all the same property. It just happens to be different parcels, because that's just how it is.
Just so you are aware, I understand that the case was brought before the code board last year. However, these cases have been open since April of 2019. So we're here in 2022 now, just so you are aware.
We should have known that a minute ago.
Talking the same issue since 2019?
Yes, I just realized that. This case has been open since April 3rd, 2019.
I don't know.
No,
if
that, I just,
Yeah,
I
I don't
know
I
if
remembered
that
us
long either.
discussing this back in the fall, so.
It was open in 2019, but it was not brought before the code board. They were given substantial amount of time
To bring it up.
before it was brought before to the board, correct?
again, let me iterate, I'm confused, which is my normal state of affairs, and I'm looking at photos here which appear to be identical, of 3 separate properties.
It's not quite
One
though.
is on Pine Street and the other is on Hibiscus.
Correct.
So
It's-
all the photos are the same.
It's
The
an
3
L-
different addresses.
It's a corner.
It's a corner lot. They are three different, I understand they are three different parcels. If you do look at the photographs, one of them does have a different roof on it. I believe it's on the next one that we're gonna be hearing.
She doesn't have that parcel map in this set. That might have helped him. I'm going to suggest we do the same as we did before, and if we haven't seen significant progress, but you guys get to.
Yeah, knowing, I mean, for sake of consistency, I agree. But yeah, knowing now that it's 2019,
We're less-
you better impress me, man.
I will, I will. No,
We're
it'll
less
be done.
sympathetic.
Yes.
So
understood.
30 days tops, right, we're giving?
May I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Why haven't you just demoed the roof off of everything to get into compliance and then wait for a roofer to be able to come and fix it?
Would that take me into compliance, just taking the trusses out? And that's it? Because I mean, that's a
That'd be
good
a
question.
city
I don't know.
engineering
See,
question,
because
not
I mean,
for
the
us.
guy does
Not
need a
having a
roof to
roof
like
on
kind
a
of work.
structure, I can't see
But if
that
that would take me
flying.
into compliance,
No, it would not
get that
because
done.
Yeah,
you were found in, the violation is actually for roofing, so it would have to be in good repair with finalized permits. So you're not in compliance until the roofing permits are actually finalized.
Right. The only other way to come in compliance would be to knock the building down.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Not just the roof, but the entire building.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
Do you want to make the same motion, I
Yep.
suppose?
All right, I move that we table this till the next meeting, where we would like to see significant progress.
You could make this motion for the 2 of them together if you so choose.
8
Okay.
and 9 are are
Same.
The
7
same.
and 8 are the,
Same.
7 and 9.
Yeah.
7 and 8?
Move for,
I need to correct the numbers on the record then. This will be for
7 and 8,
case
right.
number 19-800002221 and 19-8022, excuse me, 19-800000220. The first of those set of numbers is a vacant lot on Pine Street. The second set of numbers is for 720 Hibiscus. We are combining items 7 and 8 on the agenda, and we'll proceed. Thank you.
so I move that we table those 2 until the next meeting where we would like to see significant progress, or we will let, go from there.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Roll call, Bobby?
Mr. Ogle? Yes. Mrs. Eisner?
Yes.
Dr. Matea?
Yes,
Mr. Rollinston?
Yes.
Mrs. Telliar?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Miss Wade?
Yes. I'll summarize.
Yes.
We're lighting a fire.
Yeah, it's lit, and I appreciate the grace of the board.
We have
Thank you
been
all very
patient
much.
as we're going to be.
Yes,
So please
agreed.
make our town prettier.
I will. I
Thank
will.
you.
And we do have many other properties that we do maintain, and they're beautiful, and so, yes, we do love this city.
Get on it, get on
On
it.
it.
No gap between February and September. It's not going to
Right
be
now.
allowed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So number 8 can come.
Is everybody okay with continuing for just a little bit? Okay, nobody need a break? Please accept documents. This is for this next one?
That would be for number 9, ma'am.
Would it- we
have
accept,
paper,
we
220.
would like to have Bobby.
Yeah, we
David,
put it
you
all
put
in.
those
Give that to Bobby.
No,
It's
they
okay.
combined them
It's the
both at
backup.
time.
Yeah, right, it's okay.
Case number 9, no one, I believe, is here for this case. It's case number 22-800000104, Julia Fees, 111 North Safford Avenue. Be tab 9 in your binder.
Exhibit 1, it will be the affidavit of noncompliance. Exhibit 2 is your first code board order that was dated October 19th, 2022. Exhibit 3 is going to be the notice of hearing, as well as a certified mail receipt and affidavit of posting. And then there's just one photograph showing that it was posted on the property. And if we could submit the originals, please.
Is this the one where they added the, like an
Yes.
addition, in-law kind of a suite inside without proper permits?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We saw it last time. So,
So you're, just to be clear for the record, you're asking for the affidavit of noncompliance to be accepted and the fine to start effective of the motion.
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the affidavit of noncompliance, and the date was,
the order, what fine we had established.
$25 a day.
Yes.
So what was the effective date?
It was by November 18th, 2022.
Okay, so. So I move that we accept the affidavit of noncompliance, which would have started the fine of $25 a day from November 18th of 2022.
Second.
Before we vote on this, is that what the fine that we had imposed was, or did we not?
It's in the order, ma'am, that you
I just
put
didn't see it.
$25.
It says $25.
Okay, thank you. I couldn't
Yeah, it
find it
said
in
at
my
the bottom,
paperwork.
yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead, Bobby, roll call, please.
Mr. Ogle?
Counselor, can we backdate the fine start to 2 months ago?
Actually, the fine will be effective the date of this order, but it reflects when the time period was for compliance. It's just a finding that they never came in compliance as of that date. The fine will run from today forward.
Yeah, but the motion is from November.
No, the motion's accepting that.
I'm just accepting what our order was,
Right.
but the fine
The
starts
fines, we
today.
can't, the law would not allow us to implement a fine other than the day you accept the affidavit of
So
noncompliance.
today, the fine would start today?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Today?
I'm sorry, we interrupted roll call. I think let's start again.
Yes, okay. Mr. Ogle?
Yes.
Mrs. Eisner?
Yes.
Dr. Matea?
Yes.
Mr. Rolliston?
Yes.
Mrs. Tilliard?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes. But there are no affidavits of compliance.
You having fun yet?
Madam Chair? if
Yes,
I
sir.
can- So what you also have in your booklet is several sections, one with suggested fines under tab 10.
Yes, sir.
Under tab 11 is the process for suggested reduction requests. Under tab 12 is a change in the proposed findings of facts, conclusions of law. Those are given to you to review and see if you have any questions, and we'll bring those forth at your next meeting for approval. We're trying to standardize some of these issues, and with the new inspector to get a little up to date on some of the things that are required by the law. Also, to standardize the fines so that we don't have somebody making a claim, why did you give me this fine and give that person this fine? So we're trying to standardize all those things. Standardize some, as you could tell, even going through some of your evidence today, that the motions and the findings of fact weren't necessarily as clear as they should be. And this is also to protect the city in case anybody challenges it from a legal perspective.
In
So
the-
please review those.
Is it okay to ask a question on that now?
Absolutely.
Because one of the things that we struggle with is somebody that hasn't paid a $60,000 fine, and our directions were that they had to provide some sort of need, that it wasn't gonna do any good because they couldn't pay it.
Right.
And so we aren't presented that, so we don't accept their reduction, and then they go to the city commission and they accept it. So we feel sometimes,
So let's step back for a second. The Florida statute, which dictates your board, talks about what the intent is.
Yes, sir.
And the intent, as you know, is to get compliance.
yes, sir.
Correct.
Otherwise, we could take the case to the criminal courts complex and have a judge handle it that way. What the judge would do in that situation is just implement a fine. They wouldn't necessarily mandate compliance. That's not what the courts do under the code violations. So that's why you all handle these things as you did today, trying to get compliance, working with residents, property owners to really do what we need them to do for the city.
Yes.
So that's the intent. So now let's move forward. So certain circumstances, you'll see people that'll acquire fines that they can't pay. The board may make a determination, because you have a little more personal involvement in these cases, that yes, we're not going to do that. But ultimately, it's up to the commission to decide how they want to handle it in an overall manner. So I think the key to this is communication. And when we have a situation like one where you find that we shouldn't reduce it, to make sure that we present that position clearly to the Board of Commissioners so that they understand why you're taking that position.
And how do we do that? We have not had that opportunity.
I would think what we would do going forward is that in any case where there is not a fine reduction, or it's still significant, that we should put on the record your reasoning, and then when that case comes before the board, that we present that information to the board. Because I understand, I've handled code enforcement boards for 30 years, and I understand your frustration and the position you may have in these kind of cases. So absolutely, we just have to communicate that.
Is it communicated through the city manager, or is it?
It can be however you want it directed. We could put a memo together and present it to the board.
Well, I think that link in the chain may have been missed. Most of the time, we feel for the people, and we know that it's gonna, but there have been a case or two where we did not think that the fine should be reduced. We had worked really hard on it, and then they take it to the board and they say, okay, you don't have to pay.
Well, and not talking about the case you had before you, but if you have a similar type of situation where it's gone on for years and it appears that nothing's being done and very little, and finally somebody's doing something only because of the ongoing fine, because they can't sell their property or do anything, I think it's important for you all to explain. We didn't reduce it because they didn't even consider coming in compliance for 18 months, and then, so going through that whole understanding, because you all, as this earlier case, this is a case you've heard several times, so there becomes a point where
Done.
you have frustration, and also I think it's important from the city's perspective to say, look, I mean, as you know, when a case comes before you, it's come before those people several times. They know that there's a violation. They have been informed, or they're ignoring it. They're not picking up their mail. That's why we have to post these properties.
Yes, sir.
And they're supposed to know whether it's a rental property, commercial property, your residential home, that you're responsible for your property. So you all, by the time it comes to you, there's already been numerous attempts by the city to correct this.
Yes.
So when it comes to the city commission, there's been a lot put forward. So I think it's important for you all to be able to express what has gone on.
That's the part that's been
Now,
missing.
that being said,
They have
if
that
somebody,
power.
if, again, well, a lot of times what we see is somebody asks for a fine reduction so they can sell the property. And sometimes in those situations, the commission may say, okay, because we want somebody who's going to take care of the property to buy the property. So from that standpoint, I've seen those over the years.
I think we understand those. Kind of a different case that bothered us a lot. It was a more than $1 million house.
Right,
and
so,
We got this.
so we definitely want to make sure that that's communicated correctly to the board.
Thank you.
One other thing that I'd like to discuss, the code, in order to have code enforcement, we have to have a tattletale, supposedly.
Yes,
That person, that tells on the other person.
yes, unfortunately.
Is it possible that the enforcer, the code enforcement person, can make their own decisions in houses and places where they're already at? They already see all this
Well, I think
stuff.
that's one of the cases we had.
Yeah.
Where it was observed. So as long as it's observed, yes, absolutely. We had one of those.
If it's observed, I'm sorry, but I want to make this clear. If it's observed, and if the code enforcement person sees that, then they can enforce.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to
But
be
the-
brought by a citizen. She can do it. The police department refers things when they go
We do
to a house that's a
proactive
mess.
cases,
Right.
but if we go out to your house because your grass is too high,
Yeah.
my inspector looks at the whole block, minimum, for other violations. It's not just because somebody called in on you and we have their name and address, we're just coming after you to try to get you in compliance. She's gonna look at the whole neighborhood and say, this house, the grass is the same,
Okay.
this house, and then she can do a case based on her observation.
Great.
But what happens is
That's-
people will call
that's clear.
in and they don't want to give their name, I'm only giving you Mike. Well, we can't go out and look at that. And we can't go out later on, a week later, and say, oh, well, you observed it, because it's on record that an anonymous complaint came in.
And
Then
that
we're
was
putting
because of
ourselves in
a
position.
Tallahassee law that was passed last year that
Yes.
everybody should know
There's
about.
no anonymous complaints anymore, which makes it difficult sometimes for people to come forward. That's the problem.
It is a problem.
And honestly, there's only certain situations that can be observed as opposed to somebody who complains. So if you can't observe it from either being invited on a piece of property or seeing it from the sidewalk or right-of-way, then there's no violation that can be done without somebody coming forward.
Question, since there's not allowed to have an anonymous complaint, thank you. Can it be that the person who gave the complaint is not public knowledge? That it's for the police department or for the code enforcement?
No.
Because you don't want to have enemies on your block, but you want the problem fixed.
No,
Bad
like,
government in Tallahassee
Okay.
said that.
the issue-
Everything's
the issue
public
we're having
in-
is people were calling a commissioner or the mayor or somebody and saying, and then the mayor would say, a citizen contacted me. Well, we can't investigate that because basically it's an anonymous complaint, even though the mayor but he didn't observe it. He's
Right.
not the complainant. And it's very frustrating because my bosses are saying, look into it or whatever, and we can't because it's an anonymous complaint.
Right, the mayor would have to actually go to the place and make an independent observation.
And then he would have to be the
And
complainant.
then he's
listed
the
on record.
complainant, which is not something necessarily we want because of their position.
Right.
And it causes conflicts and things along
If
those lines.
we, as board members, see something that's pretty egregious and bring it forward, we give our name, do we also then have to file paperwork or something not to vote?
You would have to be the
Recuse
complainant, we'd have to give that information, and you'd have to recuse yourself from this case. And the problem would become if, we have a lot of those, and we have a problem seating people on the board.
Right,
I mean, I would prefer you didn't,
right, of course.
but then again, you're residents, so if you observe something, it wouldn't want to preclude you from seeing something in your neighborhood.
Right.
But yes, you could be a complainant.
And I hope I didn't seem short with that guy, but I don't want to hear about the house next door.
No, you were 100% correct. I was trying to figure out where he was going with that. That's a classic, you've seen it all the time, where somebody says,
Every
well,
time.
You didn't
did you
call
look
on that
next
one."
door, and did you give them a violation? And as
Yeah,
you said,
right.
which is correct, that's not before us, and if you want to report something, then let us know.
That was good.
No, that was 100% correct.
I have a question on the sections, the motion for repeat violation or any of these, it says section, but I can't find the section when we're in whatever number we're at. Where is the section written?
It's listed on the document, right here.
And that, we both were struggling with,
We'll have,
these
with the,
pages were up front. We had to pull them out.
it'll be different with your
refer to
new,
them. That was, I saw you do that, I went, that'll help.
your new orders will take care of a lot of those issues.
Okay,
Okay.
so it was only on the first 2 pages. That's where they were.
And in the write-up in the back, where she put her recommendation, she listed the code numbers there.
Gotcha, okay.
Right, we'll
We
correct
found
that
it
on the new
easier,
order.
Ms. Eisner, to pull those papers out, so then we could have those numbers again
On the
when we
side of
needed
us.
to make the
Gotcha.
Yeah.
case.
Now, reading number 12, is this something I'm taking home, or I'm leaving it in
Yes.
the book, or?
No, if I need the books back, if you would just take out number 10, 11, and 12.
Okay. The other question I had was about the fine.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I was going to ask at the beginning, because I was afraid it would come up. But what you're actually saying is that if one of these things, like, for example, this one where it says accessory structures, building without permit, so instead of what we've been doing currently was progressive fine, so 25, 50, 75, we would go for, right off the bat, to a 75 fine,
Yeah.
right out of the gate.
Yes, ma'am, that would be for any first-time offender. And then if they come back as a repeat violator, the standard practice usually would be you take whatever the first amount was and you double it.
I
And it
see.
can go up to $500 a day.
Okay, great, that's
Yeah,
great.
the only other
Thanks.
thing would be different would be like an irreparable damage, where you can give them a one-time fine. But that's usually very far
I mean,
in between.
This would be an accepted guideline. However, there's always exceptions if we had a situation.
Absolutely.
Because you could always go up to 250.
When we think it's a health and safety, or there are children involved, we bump it up anyway.
For example, that one you had, that building, everything was falling all down everywhere.
The
Had
stairs
there
were
had been a pool in that backyard,
Yeah.
that would have changed the whole complexion of that.
Well, and the one with the laundry, I
Wash
mean,
and
that's a
dry.
health and safety issue with the doors
Absolutely.
not removed.
That was a great question,
That was
by
a
the
great
way.
question, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a guide. If you see something egregious in the testimony that she gives you, you can always go up. But
Right.
that's a suggested guideline, so that we don't have somebody saying,
Right.
we're doing select.
Right, where'd you come up with-
You don't like me, so you're making it $100 when
Right.
it should be
Right.
70. You know what I mean?
Only
So we're
one
just trying to
time.
make it consistent, where we don't have somebody
Much
coming
what
back
we've done.
against the city saying,
One time, we went
right.
to $500 because we had tried so many times with so many fines and so many things to
Right.
get compliance.
Right.
It just did not happen.
Right. That, you'll find those cases. Those
Yeah.
cases will come up. Hopefully not too many.
Most of us have been on this a while. We've,
A while, yeah,
I can tell.
thank you for helping us through it today.
yeah.
Is there any suggestions you guys have about these binders? Do you like them, not like them?
I like it a lot.
I love this.
I love it.
That's great.
Okay.
And I like that the respondent gets one, too.
Yes, because they have
And
to
I
be
like
able to
that-
see.
They can follow through.
That is great. I
Yeah.
have not seen that before. That was great.
I like the fact that you wrote a recommendation in there. That was really great.
Because we always had to ask in the past.
We always had to
All of these things
ask.
took time, made the
Right.
meetings longer.
Yes.
Passing that paper down took a lot of time.
Yes.
That was helpful. I still am struggling with when to say accept.
Well, it's fine. This is a learning process, and there'll be some change process when we get the new orders in place and doing those things. But I think it's nice to see an experienced board that understands these kind of situations.
We made
And we
it.
could have put Steve in the empty seat.
And
Steve Ogle, we could have put him in the empty seat.
Yeah, in
That we should have
hindsight,
done,
we should
yeah.
have done that.
Gentleman down there could have used this microphone.
I got your back, babe.
One more question for you.
Oh, we didn't
It relates to
adjourn.
this property on Hibiscus and Pine. And the question relates to, evidently, there are 2 separate addresses for the identical piece of property. Does the property appraiser, the tax assessor, and the U.S. Post Office recognize 2 separate addresses?
I believe
for the
so,
same
based on what I saw.
property?
They're separate parcels that have never been combined.
Well,
Are you talking about for fine purposes?
I'm talking for identification purposes. We're seeing photographs.
Right, you're seeing the same photographs because the
Two
roof is.
different addresses.
Well, so there's three pieces of property that are affected by this. There's a couple different ways of doing that I've seen over the years, either combining the three together as one violation or doing separate ones like this. I've seen it both ways.
If you have further questions, we will continue with meetings adjourned.
Wait, no, Steve has a question.
Just real quick, just concerning this property on Pine and
Wait, and let's, I should have said this before. I don't want to go into this property because it's coming back before you. So we want to have the individual here to hear any discussions we may have. That one was more of a procedural one, so that's fine. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's,
We have to be careful discussing
I just want
anything
to be
outside
careful,
of.
right.
I wasn't gonna discuss it, I just wanna know if the building was on all.
I'm sorry?
My understanding
Building was
is,
what?
yes?
It's 3 parcels, and there's a building, some of the buildings overlap on.
On all three
both of
parts.
them,
That's why it
yes.
was brought before you.
That's what I.
I thought it was a great meeting.
Thank you for the candy.